Hello YouTube and welcome to Jarod997's Guide to Farm Sim 15 Units of Measure. This video is intended for the XKCD crowd and everyone else. What this means is yes, there will be some math involved. If you're not the math type of person, then click on this link. I will pop up here on the screen and it will skip you to the part that does not involve any math and gets you to the point of the video. For everyone who likes understanding how things work, continue on. In playing Farm Sim 15, I've come across a number of things out in YouTube land. I was looking for explanations, why is this? And I came across things like, how many loads do I need for this? And, what's this pipe thing doing in the way? If my tipper holds 18,000, that's 18 tons, right? Or this $1,800 per ton. How does that work? Well, I'm going to explain it to you. First, we're going to start with some basics. The SI unit, or System International, is the basics for the metric system. Here, as it relates to Farm Sim, we have the kilogram we use for mass, and to some extent we use the meter, which indirectly relates to the hectare, which you see for the field sizes. And other units which are used here in the game, non-SI units that are commonly used with SI that we will see in the game is the tonne, 1,000 kilograms, the volume in terms of liter, and here they say capital L or small l, but guess what? The liter is not named after some scientist or other famous person, so we will not and should not capitalize the L. If you're going to abbreviate liter, it should be lowercase l, and that's 0.001 cubic meters. And the other unit is the hectare, the size of the fields that we tend to see. So with the metric system, we have prefixes, which is kind of neat. You have your base unit, and we have kilo units, which is 1,000 units, mega units, another 1,000 of the kilo, and giga, 1,000 mega. On the other side, we have milli-units, like a millimeter, and micrometer. We're getting really small. Where have we seen this before? Oh, look, a byte. And 1,000 bytes is a kilobyte. Yes, I know, for the purists out there, it's 1024. We can use the 1,000 divided by 1,000 as a good approximation. They do that when they're selling hard drives anyway. So 1,000 bytes in a kilobyte, 1,000 kilobytes in a megabyte, 1,000 megabytes in a gigabyte. Metric system at work. So in the game, we have a meter divided by 1,000. We end up with a millimeter, which means there are 1,000 millimeters in a meter. And from meter to kilometer, we multiply and divide by 1,000. Metric is kind of cool that way, just moving the decimal place around. Okay, but if we go back to the base unit, you say, I saw the word kilogram. Isn't that, not the base unit? The base unit should be a gram? Well, yes. The answer is kind of complicated, and it goes back a few hundred years into, I believe, society in France. For the purposes of this video, the kilogram's the base unit. So what we need to understand here is the one unit of measure called volume, which is the amount of space that a substance or object occupies, or that is enclosed within a container, especially when great. Now, as we see here, capacity, volume, capacity, bulk. Okay, so here in the game, where do we see volume or capacity? In tippers. Oh, what's this on the left here? Those are not pipes, that is L, 200,000 liters, 69,000 liters. Where else are we going to see this? If we scroll here, we come across the animals. The feeding trough is in liters. The amount of wool is in liters, 2,000 liters. Cows, manure, measured in liters. I don't have any cows, so it's showing 0. Milk tank in liters. Is this practical? Well, guess what? It actually is. The Mountain Equipment Co-op, one of the really cool outdoor stores here we have in Canada lists, let's say, expedition packs. These are, large backpacking um, packs you'd put on to go for, week trips on a time. Look at the volume down here. 87 liters is the small one, 95 liters medium, 103 liters. They're telling you the capacity or the amount of volume that this backpack will hold. So yes, liters are used. Well, how much is a liter? We saw earlier, and Mr. Google will tell us that a liter is 0.001 cubic meters. Or if we flip that around, 1 cubic meter is 1,000 liters. Now, for some of you, I know this doesn't mean so much, so we'll see if we can simplify this. 1 liter is about 0.035 cubic feet. Well, that doesn't seem like quite a lot. Can't quite get a grasp on that. Okay, cubic inches, 61 cubic inches. Great, 1 liter is 61 cubic inches. We've heard the term before, cubic inch, but how much is this? All right, well, let's come up with a pictorial example. Yeah, okay, so you and the viewers in the US, you might not know what this is. Okay, water drinkers. Here is a liter. Okay, how about Fanta? No? Okay, Coke. This is a liter of Coke. Okay, maybe not. Liter of milk. All right. Problem we're having here is without some sort of frame of reference, it's hard to communicate to you viewers how much a liter is. For all you know, I could be telling you that this group of furry triples is a liter. Well, going back to Mr. Google, the gallon. 1 liter is 0.26 gallons. Everyone puts gas in their car. You put gallons of gas into your car. But does that really help us to visualize how much is a liter? How much is a gallon? Well, I put, 20 gallons of gas into my car. How much is that? And then it hit me. You all know what this is. It is a gallon of milk, which is approximately 4 liters. And I can already hear you saying, aha, okay, now I get it. Right. Okay, and most of us up here in Canada, we get our milk in bags. Yeah, bags. So, a little bit different. Now that we've got that out of the way, we have weight. Weight is another important unit of measure. A body's relative mass, or the quantity of matter contained by it, giving rise to a downward force, the heaviness on a person or thing. Yes, for the purists, there again, there is a difference between weight and mass. For the purposes of this video, we're going to ignore that difference. Okay, the force exerted on the mass of a body by a gravitational field. Yep, there's the physics difference. We're going to say that for the purposes of this video, weight and mass is the same thing. Flame me in the comments if you want. Fine. So here we are back in the metric prefixes. What are we going to find with weight? Aha, here's that gram kilogram thing I was talking about. Gram multiply, divide by 1,000, you end up with milligrams. Smaller, lighter weights. Gram, we go up to a kilogram. And then gram, oh, hey, look, a tonne. T-O-N-N-E, metric ton. So a tonne is 1,000 kilograms. But wait a minute, this is not following our prefix, which is correct. 1,000 kilograms could also be correctly called a megagram. And for all my Canadian listeners and other listeners in other countries who see speeds on the road and distances in kilometers, 1,000 kilometers, people hear, yeah, it's about 1,000 kilometers between here and here. You could correctly call that a megameter. That sounds kind of weird. People don't usually use it, but it is correct. Okay, so here we're going to see the scales. We're at the grain elevator with a large load, and the scales will actually show you weight. So we'll load it up here, 25,000 kilograms or 25 tons, metric tons. Drop off the tipper and look, 16,000 kilograms of wheat. This is not quite full. It's about 41,000. So we're going to dump this off and come back. Oh, look, there's a second set of scales over here. Isn't that handy? Let's drive up on the scales, drop off the tipper, and have a look. The camera is kind of wonky over here. But yeah, we do see 8,355 kilograms. So there is a difference. The scales actually do work. The other place we can see weight in the game is here in the prices. Dollars per ton or dollars per 1,000 kilograms. Metric tons. Okay, we're working. My game is set to metric. So how much is that for our American listeners? Well, 1 metric ton is about 1.1 short tons. Well, it's a short ton, 2,000 pounds. Fairly straightforward. Short ton, 2,000 pounds. But there's also the long ton, 0.98 long tons to a metric ton. Long ton, 2,240 pounds. The long ton was more commonly used in the shipbuilding industry, sailing vessels and whatnot. How many pounds is it? Okay, 1 metric ton, 2,204 pounds and change. Okay, so now you have about an idea how much a metric ton is. So here's a question for everyone. What weighs more, a pound of butter or a pound of feathers? Some of you might have already heard this question before. All right, don't spoil it for everyone else. Guess what? Here is a pound of feathers. Now some of you are starting to clue in. Wait a minute. A pound is a pound. That's right. These will both weigh the same amount. But it looks like you've got an awful lot more feathers there than you do butter. And you would be correct. This brings us to density, the degree of compactness of a substance, or the physics definition here, the degree of consistency measured by the quantity of mass per unit volume. Okay, so mass per unit volume, sometimes used, the symbol most often used is the lowercase Greek letter rho. So rho equals mass over volume. This is given to us by Wikipedia. But if we head over to the For Dummies website, we can see they give us a handy list of common materials. So for the same amount of substance, gold is heavier than mercury, mercury is heavier than silver, and we'll work down the way here. Silver is heavier than aluminum. This seems to make sense. I see some heads nodding. Aluminum is heavier than blood. Okay, those people over at For Dummies are kind of weird. But again, correct. Blood is a little bit heavier than water. Yep. And funny trick of physics, water is a little bit heavier than ice. And then, of course, ice is heavier than oxygen and helium. So as we expect, gases are lighter than the equivalent amount of substance of solids. So volume in the game is given to us here in the store. I've kind of tallied them all up here. So here we have the tippers, Brantner, Agroliner, Fliegel, all of them. Here's the capacities, and these are given in liters. Remember, L in the game, liters, liters, liters. This Bergman's kind of a weird beast, chaff and grass only. I have managed to not put anything in it, but I'll get to that later. Loading wagons, Eurobos, Carrix, Terra, Vitesse, capacities. Buckets, there are 4 different buckets, especially if you get the JCB mod. 1700, 1860, 4500 liters, 6400 liters, and their associated weights. Yes, this one seems kind of out of place. If all these buckets are more or less the same capacity, expect them to weigh about the same or at least slightly increasing. Why does this one weigh so much more and this one only about half as much? I thought, well, I must have made a mistake. Let's go find out. Here's the telehandler. We're back at the grain elevator. The weigh scales. Let's weigh this bucket. It seems to weigh 598 kilograms. All you have to do is put it over the imaginary line there and it'll measure the first thing it sees. Nope, there's nothing in the bucket. We'll turn it upside down and kind of put it over the edge of the scale. Yep, 598 kilograms. See in the bottom there? 0%. So I'll drop it on the scales Now I really only have to drop it just over the line, but I'll actually put it on the pad there. Back up. Yep, it's 598 kilograms. I didn't make a mistake. So, mass and volume. We'll combine these two items to get our crop densities. There's two ways we can get the mass. The first is by the scales. We take a tipper load, we get the full weight of the tipper minus the empty weight like I showed before, and we get the weight of the crop. So the full weight, say tipper and crop, is 15,500 kilograms. We go weigh the tipper afterwards, 5,500 kilograms. This gives us a crop weight of 10,000 kilograms or 10 tons. And again, my handy list, I've already weighed all the tippers, all the loading wagons, and the buckets to give us empty weights for all of these. This comes in handy later. Mass method 2, we sell a full tipper load. The revenue, or the amount of money we make, divided by the price of the particular crop will give us the crop weight. So an example is, we make $10,000 for selling a full tipper load of something. The price for that something is $1,000 per ton, so we must have sold 10 tons. Great, let's get into this. So, into my data here, and I'll fill in the blanks as we go. Remember, I've already measured the empty capacity, the volume, and the mass of the second and third tippers, the Flegel and the agroliner. I'm kind of backwards, the agroliner is the smaller, lighter one. That's fine. So here's the weight, tipper and crop. So tipper and Flegel wheat. Down here we have silage, the 4,600 bucket and the 6,500 liter bucket. So we weigh it with the crop in it, get rid of the crop one way or another, and do the subtraction. And here is the weight of the crop only. So over to the right here we have the density is kilograms per liter. So we take the weight of the crop, divide by the capacity or the volume of each of these, and we get the density of the crop. And you see it matches between these two tippers. So this weight here divided by the volume of this tipper gives us that. So, and likewise for the agroliner, we take the weight of this crop divided by the capacity of the agroliner, we get the same numbers. So these numbers agree all the way down. Great. It's kind of funny actually, because I was doing the sugar beets, and when I was doing this the first time around, my two numbers didn't match up. I got one number, it was quite a bit off from the other one. I thought, well, jeepers, I must have typed in something wrong. So did it again, emptied them all out again, started from zero, put them back in. Great, they match. So, and silage, same thing, 0.375 kilograms per liter. Wonderful. Okay, method 2. One reason we can do two different methods, just to make sure that we're getting all the same result. The numbers agree. We know we haven't made a mistake somewhere. Great. Sell a full tipper load. So here we have, before it's selling crop, this is how much money we had before, again, for each of the two tipper loads, for each of the crops, and the dollars we had after selling the crop. So this is the revenue per crop in each of these tippers, and again for each of the buckets for silage. So now we have the revenue, the dollars per crop, the price. This should give us the sold weight for each of these. Something doesn't look right. These numbers are all coming out more or less the same. Let's say give or take rounding error. And down here, these kind of look funny. What's going on? But okay, let's assume that's correct. That gives us, if we take the kilograms per liter, so this should give us tons, which is 1,000 kilograms. We'll multiply this by 1,000, divided by the capacity for these. That's giving us about 1. And I've seen this before on some of the forums and Reddit forums, whatever forums. Let's look at the volumes, the tipper volumes here. The Flegel holds 32,000 liters. Wait a minute. Agroliner 21,000 liters, 21. The buckets, 6,400 liters, 4,500 liters. Something smells fishy. So guess what's actually going on? This is not weight. This is volume. This is kiloliters, or 1,000 liters. We got 31.99 kiloliters. Let's take rounding error, 32 kiloliters. 6.4 kiloliters. You know what that means? This price is not dollars per ton, it is dollars per kiloliter. Yes, this is a big bug in the game. So the prices you're seeing on the screen are not dollars per ton, not dollars per weight unit. It is dollars per kiloliter, or dollars per volume unit. Yes, I can see your head starting to spin. But once we do this correction, over here, we take the kilograms, the weight of the crop. So far, this is the only way we can get the weight of the crop divided by now this volume. We know this is the sold volume. We get the same numbers, 0.4 all across the board, 0.410, 0.32 across the board, 0.375 across the board. Once we've made this correction, all the numbers agree. So we know that this must be a bug. What about grass? Yes, okay. The reason I did this is because we can take all of these crops so far and sell them directly and make money. And yes, you can do the same thing with grass. So I put together my spreadsheet. Here's the harvesting wagons, Pottinger, Bergman, Stroutman. Here's the capacities that the state's in the shop. Here's their empty weights. Weigh them all on the scales. Here's the empty weights. There's the full weights of grass, which means subtract the two. We end up with load. Pardon me, yes, I know the two numbers are backwards. Subtract them. You get the weight of the load, which gives us a load density, kilograms per liter. Take the load weight, divided by the capacity, we get the load density, and they agree across the board. Wonderful. Let's do method 2. Cash before minus the cash after gives us a difference. This is how much money we made. So now we can take the money we made divided by our liters and gives us $196 per kiloliter. Or if you want, we can actually do it per ton because we know what the density is and even the weight of our load. $1,120 per ton. That seems kind of big, but when you think ton, oh wait a minute, 1,000 kilograms. Yeah, so if you ever have any ideas of getting out the, the old 2-stroke push lawnmower and trying to sell the grass, don't do it. So what does this all mean? Crop density is the weight per unit volume. Now we have this handy chart. Wheat is 0.41 kilograms per liter, corn 0.4 kilograms per liter. What does this give us? Why am I looking at this chart? Crop density leads to, look at this. Now that we know the crop density, we can apply this across all of these different pieces of equipment. Again, except for the Bergman can't hold anything except for grass and chaff. We can't sell chaff directly. We can turn it into silage, but because we can't sell it directly, I didn't include it here. So this is the gross weight, the weight of the load and the tipper, or the harvester. Not the harvester, the foraging wagon, or the buckets. So this is the weight of the load and the tipper piece of equipment. And if we know this, gross weight leads to net weight. Hey, look at this. If we now come across a mission that says we need 18 tons of corn, we go to the agroliner. Look at this. One agroliner, TAW30, not the smaller HKD. One agroliner load of corn will be 18 tons. Hey, isn't that handy? And, I can make a PDF of this and post it. Don't go looking for the link now. We'll get to that later. Okay, so now we have, look at this, net weights of all the different crops. Handy sheet. What could you ask for anything more? But there is more. Net weight leads to revenue per load of crop. And here I've colored it in handy colors, the red being lower, green being higher. And this is how much money you can make from one load at these given prices. Now, yes, I know prices do fluctuate, but generally the prices stay in approximately the same range, give or take. And we can see that, yes, for the most amount of money, you're going to take the cramp and sell wood chips. You're going to make $139,000 per load. Now you kind of expect this because this is the biggest tipper. It holds the highest amount, highest capacity in liters, and it also has the highest price. This seems to make sense. Silage, here we know, $20,000, $14,000 per load. That doesn't seem like much, but when you consider you have to have a fair amount of grass in the silos before you can start making silage, and you're going to be shoveling 10, 20, 30 scoop bucketfuls of silage into the bioreactor to sell. That's not $20,000. That's going to quickly turn into hundreds of thousands of dollars because you have more than one load. Now I see some light bulbs starting to come on. We'll get there in just a second. And here's the graph at 196. You see it's the lowest price we have here. You're not making a lot of money, but if you have a load of grass you need to get rid of, yes, you can sell directly. There, that's included. So revenue per load of crop leads to loads per field and total revenue for a field. Now remember, the prices I showed were just for one tipper load. Okay. Now everyone who's played the game knows that you often are going to need more than one tipper load to completely harvest a field, right? So some fields are bigger than others. Some tippers are bigger, smaller than others. You're going to need more than one tipper to clear the field. So I don't have all the crop data to see what the yields are per hectare, okay, or basically tippers per hectare, if you will. How many times am I going to need to run a tipper through a particular size of field to clear it? How much volume of crop am I going to get out of this field? I am working on that data and I'll present that in a future video. So here's the part where everyone that didn't want to do anything with the math is going to skip forward to. Great. So field size relates to total volume, which fits in a specific number of these tippers, either this big one, smaller number. Okay, if you have a big field, you're going to fill up more tippers. If you have a smaller tipper, you're going to fill up more tippers per given field size. Tippers hold a number of liters or units of volume. This one happens to hold 59,000 liters of canola. So many liters of crop weighs a number of kilograms or tons. Now this 29,000 kilograms is not the crop weight, it's the crop weight and the tipper. Just to show you though, the crop weighs a number of kilograms as we showed before through the subtraction method. Loads can be sold by the liter for cash or kiloliter for cash. So we have $291,000. We start selling some, it goes up, and we end up with $437,000 for this load of canola. Not a bad haul. Or they can be sold by the ton for jobs. And yes, look, here is a picture of a job board asking for 69 tons of wheat. I have not been able to find a picture like this online through a number of Google searches, so I happened to come across one of the jobs by random chance. I took a screenshot. Here it is. And I looked at it, I thought to myself, wait a minute, 69 tons. If we go back to the chart, that's going to be about 3 of those cramp loads of wheat. Well, fortunately I have that much in my silo. Let's get started and see what happens. Yes, or is it really tons? Well, we're going to find out. So after one load of 59,000 liters, the biggest cramp tipper here holds 59,000 liters. After one load of 59,000 liters, we go back to the job board, leave the truck parked in front of the job board and tab over to it. We see, what's this? 85% complete. Something's kind of fishy here. This should only be about 33% complete. Let's do some quick math. So 69 tons at 85% complete means we dropped in 58.65 tons, or approximately 59 tons. So the game is saying it's in urgent need of 69 tons of wheat. I have a feeling what they're really saying is we're in urgent need of 69 kiloliters of wheat. Let's do some testing. So if we are right, we should only need 10,000 more liters. We can see in the bottom corner here, 10,000 liters of wheat plus a bit extra to finish the mission. This should be enough if we're correct. So let's find out what happens. And kapla! We have completed the mission. So we have also proven our hypothesis here. What they're looking for is not tons, they're looking for kiloliters. So this means weight is meaningless in Farm Simulator 2015 version 1.2. So did I just waste a good chunk of your time? Not really. Here's the main takeaways. The prices listed in your PDA are not dollars per ton, but dollars per kiloliter. And demand missions are also shown in kiloliters. So remember, a kiloliter is simply 1,000 liters. Very easy to move the decimal place around. The benefit of this is liters are shown plainly in the game. Here we see in the store 59,000 liters. And you'll never have to do any funny conversions again until they patch the game. So this has been Jarod997's Guide to Farm Sim 15. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you later.